We are now joined on the podium by Boise State University. We are here with head coach Chris Petersen, quarterback Kellen Moore, and defensive back George Iloka. We'll open it up with a statement from Coach Petersen.
Yeah, we're really excited to be here today, to finally be a part of the Mountain West Conference. I think it's something that we've been waiting for and hoping for a long time. I think it's an exciting day for the school, for certainly our football program, for our fans. You know, with that being said, we certainly appreciate being a part of the WAC conference. I think Carl Benson did a fabulous job, not only for the conference, but working for Boise State, and we really enjoyed being a part of that conference and some of the rivalries and some of the great games that we had there. But we're excited to be part of the Mountain West Conference. We think it's going to be really challenging. We know how hard it is being new to a conference. We remember that from 2001 when we came into the WAC and how hard that was on us. And so we are cautiously optimistic. We think we got some good players on our team that have played in a lot of football games for us, have won a lot of games, that are going to be back and be really good players for us. We got some young guys that we got to develop in a hurry to replace some of the really good players that we lost from last year's team. But we feel great about our coaching staff. We've had those guys for a while, and we're excited to have those guys with us as well. And we have tremendous confidence in terms of how they develop and improve players. So with that being said, thank you for having us in this conference.
Mark Anderson, Las Vegas View-Journal. Kellen, you come into a new league and automatically you're the target. But having been the target in the WAC, is that just something you're kind of used to?
I think certainly we expect the best out of every opponent that we face, that they're going to bring their A game. We're going to be prepared for that, and that's just the way we expect it. It can be non-conference, conference. We really don't prepare any differently. We recognize quickly the challenge of the new conference, like Coach Pete said, just the challenge of week in and week out facing a new opponent that we've never faced. It's very unique when it's week 8, 9, 10, and you're still facing someone you've never seen before, and you got to prepare for that.
Mick McGrain, Mountain West senior writer. Kellen, seems to be everybody's running around here talking about the sky falling with the loss of the 2 wide receivers you had from last year's team. I don't suspect you look at it that way.
No, I think we'll be just fine. Certainly, you'd be lying if you said you're not going to miss those guys. I played with them for 3 years, so I've been very fortunate with that. But we got guys that are just as talented, a little less experience, that we're going to be ready to go. We've probably more 6 or 7 of those guys will be involved in it, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it, and we're looking forward to a lot of success with them.
Chad Kripe, Idaho Statesman. Kellen and George, both, can you talk a little bit about sort of sharing a conference with TCU this year and the challenge of, you guys have sort of been back and forth with them through the polls the last few years, but now be going head-to-head with them in a conference?
Let's start with George.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be like the 3rd time I'm playing TCU, and just year in and year out, they're in the top of their conference, sort of like how we've been in the WAC. So just playing them this year on the Blues, it's going to be a fun experience, and I'm looking forward to a good game.
Go ahead, Kellen.
Yeah, I think obviously we're well educated on how well they are, and they're well coached, well played. They got tons of talent, and we're excited about it. We'll 3rd time, we'll have to see who wins it all, as far as we split the first 2, and we're excited about it. It'll be fun. It'll be in Boise, and the crowd will be around it, and it'll be a lot of fun.
As we've mentioned, we've allowed fans to get involved in Mountain West Football Media Days this year, and we've had several submit questions online. And George, this one's for you. It's from Richard Gray from Meridian, Idaho. And he's wondering, as a veteran of the Bronco defensive secondary, how do you feel your role will increase this year? And how do you think this year's secondary will fare compared to years past? I
feel like we shouldn't miss a beat out there. Whoever Coach Yates puts as strong safety, we should be fine. Just being a senior and being a leader this year, I might have to be more vocal, make a little bit more checks, but these are all responsibilities that I'm ready for and that I've prepared for, and we're going to play our brand of football on the defensive side, and that's fast, physical, and relentless.
Andrea Adelson, ESPN.com. For the players going back to TCU, do you guys feel any sort of rivalry with them because the 2 games you've played with them have been so close and you guys are always kind of going back and forth in the polls?
Let's start with Kellen for that one.
Okay. I mean, I think it's natural to call it a rivalry just because, anytime two teams that are playing with that much at stake with, those high-profile games that, you play 2 years in a row, it's easy to create a rivalry. I think it's very well respected. We understand how talented they are, how much success they've had. Looking forward to a third time, and we'll see what happens.
Go ahead, George.
Being the third year playing them, I feel like we're more familiar with them, just like they're familiar with us. And year in and year out, we're battling for the same things. When they're in the Mountain West and we're in the WAC, we were at the top of our conference, they're on the top of their conference, and we're kind of like, fighting for the same national recognition. So I guess that would make it a rivalry. And so this year, both teams should be playing for the top of the conference, and that make that game more exciting.
Kellen, Ray Brewer, Las Vegas Sun. I know a lot of people make noise about the blue turf y'all have, but your home field advantage is so significant. A lot of new teams from the league that are going to go play there for the first time. Describe a game day in Boise and how kind of the town shuts down and it's just packed with people, and what kind of advantage does that give y'all?
Yeah, it's a great place. Boise's a special place. I've loved it. Just a football town, great place. People worry about the blue turf. They also got a crowd that sometimes gets color coordinated and all that fun stuff, and they got to worry about those people too. It's just a lot of fun. It's an all-day event, and we don't get to enjoy as much of that, but we still get to enjoy the game day and just the atmosphere and the excitement surrounding Bronco Stadium.
Coach, Lynn Scarborough with Lindy's Publications. We were at the SEC Media Days last week in Birmingham. Coach Rick had a lot to say about y'all, about the opening season, played great compliments to both you guys, particularly to your defensive side of the ball. Talk to me about the first game of the season, what your approach is for playing Georgia, and the atmosphere of being in the Georgia Dome. I think y'all sold 8,000 seats, and they told me last week they'd sold 53,000. So what's it going to be like for y'all?
Yeah, well, we're really excited, certainly, to play Georgia. The last time it didn't go so well, as we all know. And, we have so much respect for Coach Rick and that program. We know what the record was last year, but we know how close all those games were and what it could be. And I think people from the outside don't understand how competitive college football is, and certainly in the conference that they play. And a couple plays here and there, and that their season is completely different. And we understand the motivation that they have, the chip on the shoulder that they have, that last year's given them, and how anxious they are to play this season. We understand the great coaches they have, the top talent that they recruit. This will be as tough a team as that we played since I've been at Boise State in that environment. There's no question about it. So we know what we're walking into. There's no question about that. It's one of the top programs in the country, bar none.
Coach, Mark Anderson, Las Vegas Free Journal. Speaking of the Georgia game, do you see that game really setting the tone for how this season's going to be for you?
Well, I think the first game is always, important. But I will say this: we got, 11 other games after that, win or lose. We got a huge, big season in front of us. And we said the same thing last year when we played Virginia Tech. I mean, it's nice to get off on the right foot, but no matter what happens, we have to stay focused, and we got to improve, and we got to get better. And that's what it is. It's the first game of the season for both teams. And after that game's over, we're on to the next one. Win, lose.
Robert Gagliardi, the Wyoming Tribune Eagle. For both the players, I know, first time going through the Mountain West. You played Wyoming last year, but are you guys familiar with the players on the teams, the guys you either played against in high school or went through the recruiting process? Are you familiar with any of the other players in the league?
George, go ahead and start.
I'm not too familiar with the players in this league. It's always exciting going to a new conference, to new schemes and new personnel. So, you have to watch more film to get to know some of these guys in the WAC. I was playing against the same guys for the past 2-3 years, so I was kind of familiar with them, but I don't know too many guys. So I got to meet some of the guys at this event that we're at, and it was pretty awesome meeting some of them.
Go ahead, Kellen.
Yeah, not too familiar with these guys. I think it's a lot of fun. It's exciting, just the sense of change, the sense of new environment. this event's a great opportunity just to meet a few of these guys, get to know their school a little bit, get to know, what their traditions and, program is all about. Probably take a little bit more preparation throughout this season, just as far as trying to get a beat on these programs. We're not familiar with their schemes, we're not familiar with their personnel, and that'll just take a little bit more work. And hopefully we're still as prepared as we ever have been.
Coach Petersen, we do have a fan question for you from our website, and it's from Blake Johnson, also from Meridian, Idaho. He would like to know, what's the difference your team and your coaching staff faces with having to play a brand new set of conference opponents?
Well, like I alluded to earlier, there's more to it than meets the eye. In 2001, we were new to the WAC, and it didn't go exactly like we had planned, and a lot of that has to do with the new schemes, the new coaches, the new travel, the new venues, and the motivations that everybody has that you're walking into, which a lot of times you don't know what their motivations are. And so I think, and hopefully we've learned our lesson to pay close attention to every detail of the team that we're going to play that week, that we take nothing for granted, and every stone is overturned in our preparation.
Dave Southern, Idaho Press Tribune. Pete, I know how much you like preseason polls. You guys were picked first here in the Mountain West, and you haven't even played a conference game. Just your thoughts on that?
Preseason polls, I think they're just saying that we got some good players coming back. I don't think it says anything about the team we have, because that's to be developed here as we start here in the next week. And but we do have some good players. And but what we have to do is we have to develop our young talent. We have some older players that have played a lot of football that are very good players, and then we got a big gap between some young guys that haven't played and need the experience and need the knowledge, and we got to close that. A lot of times you'll have more experienced players, but the gap isn't wide. And our team right now, I think it's fairly wide, and our job as coaches is to narrow that gap.
Kellen, don't want you to be left out with a fan question, so we have one for you from Lee Nelson from Boise. He'd like to know, what do you think has been the key to success, or what would you attribute the success to for teams like Boise State, TCU, Utah when they're in the Mountain West, for their success against the automatic qualifying conferences?
I think it just comes down to consistency. A lot of what our programs had success with is because of the culture. I think it's one of these things like TCU, like Utah. It hasn't been a 1 year, here and there. It's been successful for quite some time, and one thing we always talk about is leaving the program better than when you came in and saw it, and that's been going on for quite some time here, and hopefully we do the same, and then someone else picks it up and takes it to another level.
Any other questions for Coach Petersen or the student athletes? Coach Petersen, along with the 3 other coaches involved in this session, will be available in the back of the room from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock for a one-on-one session.